Hello, Red here, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you about all the best places to grind levels in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. So, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. There is no XP share in this game, at least not the kind that are in the later gen games where your whole party gets experience and levels up kind of simultaneously. You will have to level up your Pokemon kind of individually. You do get an XP share item, but it's only going to be on one Pokemon at a time. So, you might need to grind some levels when you're playing through the game, potentially. It shouldn't happen too often, but if there are points where you feel like you need to grind levels, either because your party's underleveled or because you've added a new team member that you want to level up, I have a few spots in the game that I've always liked to grind in, depending on whereabouts you are in the game. There's some early game, kind of mid game and late game areas, so I'm going to show you them all, depending where you are in the game, and then you can use them to get yourself some levels if you feel like you need to. Now, first things first when it comes to grinding levels in Fire Red and Leaf Green, there is a key item that you will want to get before you do any kind of grinding, and that is gotten right here in Vermilion City where the third gym leader is. As soon as you get to Vermilion City, come into the Pokemon Center and talk to this NPC. She will give you the VS Seeker. A very, very useful item that you need to have in order to grind properly in this game, as it lets you do rematches with most trainers in the game. Not all, but most. The one weird limit of the item is that you can only use it outside. It doesn't work in caves or buildings, so the trainers you rematch have to be just out on open routes like this. Kind of a strange, weird little quirk. I don't know why they programmed it like that. Maybe it was because they didn't want you to use it on like gym leaders and stuff, and they didn't want to like individually code all these specific like trainers like gym leaders to not work with it or something. I don't know. Either way, it has to be an open route like this. All you do is you walk to an area, any trainer that is on screen, you just use the item, and if they have little exclamation marks and they're hopping up and down, that means they want a rematch. If they're not, like this guy, he didn't hop up and down or anything, that means he doesn't want a rematch. But it doesn't mean he won't ever want a rematch. It's just random chance if they want to or not when you use the item. You can battle them and then you just run around a little bit. I think it's 100 steps you take will recharge the VS Seeker, and then you can use it again to try and rematch the same trainers. It'll be random every time which trainers want to rebattle you. Sometimes none of them, sometimes all of them, sometimes like this where it's only a couple of them. Yeah, like this time it was the bug catcher and one of the trainers down there. So you can just run back and forth, use this over and over again to grind levels. Now, this is one of the first spots in the game that is actually decent for grinding levels, at least early on at this point in the game. This bug trainer specifically has a level 20 Butterfree that gives a pretty good amount of XP for this point in the game. Probably one of the highest amount of XP you'll get from just any trainer individually. So this is a good spot for grinding. You can either have this spot where you have him and the two trainers up there, or come down here to have him and the two trainers down there. Either one is a decent early game grinding area, at least until you get a little bit further in the game. This is one of the areas that I always like to use. If the Butterfree is giving you some trouble, because it can be with its status moves that it likes to spam, the Nugget Bridge, or the route above the Nugget Bridge before you get to Bell and Cerulean City, can also be a decent early game grinding area, just because it's a lot of trainers next to each other, and one of the best uses of this item is to use it in an area where you can have a bunch of trainers on screen at once. Right, now if you're a little bit later in the game, you've made it to Lavender Town, there's a little bit of a better spot to grind levels on that I like to use over here. This spot right here is a little bit better. You get 4 trainers all right next to each other, and if you come down here, this biker will bike up. I think once you have him loaded on screen, he will then start to like just come up here like this. Yep, there we go. So you can time this perfectly to get him on screen as well, and have 5 trainers all potentially get rematched. So this is one of the better spots at this point in the game. I mean, look at that. 4 trainers all at once, ready to rebattle. Just for the sheer number of trainers you can get on screen at once. It's very rare you'll get any more than this. But this is a good kind of like mid-early-ish spot to grind some levels around this area. Okay, so the next spot is going to be for a little bit later in the game. This is kind of higher level. These guys are all around level 30-ish. So you do want to be at least around maybe the mid-30s to late 30s if you're going to be grinding levels against these guys easily. But this is one of the best spots in the game. Even till you get to the late game, this is a really, really good spot for grinding levels. And the cycling road, west of Celeron City, if you come out here, you have 6 trainers all just in a group together, not moving. It is just for the sheer number of trainers and the fact that they have decently leveled Pokemon. This is one of the best spots in the game for grinding that isn't like post-game or like just battling the Elite Four over and over. So once you get at least to like levels of like mid-30s, this is probably going to be your go-to spot for grinding, at least until you get to the post-game. There's one other spot you can get to that is also decent, but it's a little bit more out of the way, but we will go over it real quick. So like I said, this spot is going to be a little bit more out of the way. Once you get to Cinnabar Island and you've beaten the gym leader, when you come outside you will get offered to go to one island, the Seve Islands, to do a little side quest. You can actually choose to not do this and like do it later at a later time. It is completely optional, but I would recommend doing it because you do get some useful items, you can catch some Pokemon, you can get some XP from just fighting the trainers that are in these areas. But there is also a decent grinding spot there that you can use to get some levels before you start heading to the last gym and the Elite Four. Now, if you've already been to the Seve Islands, because you're quite late in the game, if you come here to Vermilion City, you can actually get on the boat here and you can get yourself back to one island at any point. Now, once you're here on one island, you will want to get to the spot where you can grind against these trainers that I was talking about. You want to head over through Kendall Road here to get to where I'm talking about. Okay, so once you've made your way through the Kendall Road, you will come to this area here where you have these 2 fighters here, you have the double battle down there, and then you also have another trainer here. You can actually get all 5 of them together, like this. This is one of the better spots for grinding. It's 5 trainers, so it's only 1 less than the cycling road. Their levels are a little higher, so it's really good for XP. But also, you might think, isn't it annoying to come back here if you have to heal? No. If you come into the Ember Spa that is right next to these trainers, and then come in here, you actually get fully healed in the spa. So this is basically a Pokemon Center in and of itself. So if you're very late game and you're grinding levels for the Elite Four or for the final gym, this is probably going to be your best spot. These 5 trainers here, and you can just run inside the cave and get fully healed. And just fight them over and over again to get levels. Obviously, they're all going to be using fighting types as they're all black belts. So, if you have Pokemon that are really weak to fighting types, this might not be the better spot. You might be better going back to the Cyclone Road or to find other areas to grind. But as long as your Pokemon don't have any trouble fighting against fighting types, this is probably the best spot before the post-game that you can grind levels. If you're in the post-game, you're that late in the game and you want to know how to best grind levels, it's probably just the Elite Four, to be honest. As long as you can fight them and take them out fairly easily at this point in the game, or at whatever point you're at in the game, they're probably going to be your best bet. But this is, before the Elite Four, probably your best bet for grinding levels. Now, if you know of any other areas that are good for grinding levels, maybe I didn't talk about, feel free to leave them in the comments, share them. These are just the spots that I always found best when I was playing through these games over the years. So, yeah, if you have other areas, other ideas, feel free to share them in the comments for other people to see. But thank you guys again for watching these videos. If you like them, please subscribe. Make sure to check out my live streams that I do on Twitch and YouTube, where I will also probably be playing Pokemon Fire Red and other content as well. So, thank you again for watching. Hopefully this was helpful to you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.